it to the Clean Water Conversation webpage following this talk. And with that, I will turn it over to Alli.
Thank you so much, Sloan. Really appreciate being here today and having the invitation to share about the Vermont Ag Water Quality Partnership. So I'm hoping you can see my slide now. Can you see it?
Yes.
Okay, great. So a little bit about me and the person talking to you right now. My name's Alli. I have been the coordinator with VAQUIP. We don't really have a great way to say that yet, but we're trying. For 5 years now. I'm from Vermont. I studied in Vermont. And I wanted to just share my background a little bit in case it seems like we mostly have partners today, but if there were any Eco AmeriCorps members or other folks who are wondering, like, what is one example of the path into working with the amazing people that we work with to do this really important work. So my background is I started out in hazardous waste remediation, and that was really depressing. And I was so thrilled to be able to get a position with the Vermont Association of Conservation Districts, supporting farmers and accessing resources, TA, technical assistance, and financial assistance to support small-scale water quality conservation practices on the farm, and also doing water quality sampling, which led into time with the state supporting a USDA Natural Resource Conservation Service, our federal partner, supported and funded grant that worked on water quality in the Lake Champlain Basin, and also other state-funded grant opportunities, and then now with the partnership. So today, we're going to be chatting about our annual report. I'm really happy to share about that. And for those who aren't familiar, there's a number of partners formerly part of the Vermont Ag Water Quality Partnership. That includes state, federal, and nonprofit partners. So for our federal partners, that includes USDA Farm Service Agency and the Natural Resource Conservation Service and the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service. We also have the Lake Champlain Basin Program, UVM Extension, Vermont Housing and Conservation Board, the Vermont Association of Conservation Districts, and the individual natural resource conservation districts located throughout the state. We also have the State of Vermont Department of Environmental Agency of Natural Resources, Department of Environmental Conservation, and the Agency of Ag, Food, and Markets. I think I captured everybody. And just a little bit of background about the partnership itself and how we came to be. Farms have to meet high standards for environmental stewardship. There's a lot of challenging aspects that go into that, balancing shifting markets, environmental conditions, long days of hard work. So in 2012, the Vermont Agricultural Water Quality Partnership was established to support the evolving challenge of achieving Vermont's agricultural water quality goals by reducing nutrient pollution on farms. So while these partners are formally part of the partnership, that's not to say that we don't partner much more broadly in the important work of conservation and water quality in Vermont. So before we get too far, we can put it in the chat, but our website is the vtagcleanwater.org. I'm just going to stop sharing and pop over to show it to you. This is a really helpful resource for the public and other partners. And you can watch a video about the Vermont Ag Water Quality Partnership. You can get some information about what it is we do, how we do it. You can connect to partner resource web pages. We have a strategic plan that I'll touch upon a bit in this conversation. You can also access our annual reports. We're going to be talking about this 2024 report in our time today, but you can also have access to all our previous reports and see our progress along the way. We have lunch and learn conservation webinars that are primarily for staff working on this, but those are all available through this website. And I'd be remiss if I didn't share some of the incredible resources available out there that our partners have put together, one of which is the Franklin County Natural Resource Conservation District has put together an annually updated a guide to assistance for Vermont agricultural producers. So this is all of the different programs that they could potentially access. And there's a lot. There's over 100 pages, and it's tremendous to be able to have this available. They have it in paper copy. They also have it linked online, so it's searchable. So anyway, there's a lot of resources available on our webpage, and it's a great place to be connected. And we have a newsletter if partners are interested. And that's also a nice way to be connected. So I'm just getting back to my slides. Oops. Bear with me. Can you all see my PowerPoint again?
Yes.
Okay, that's interesting.
Oh, well, we see the web page right now. We don't see your
Hmm,
PowerPoint
okay.
slides.
Sorry, it doesn't seem to want to stop.
It looked like it was a screenshot of the website within your PowerPoint.
Maybe.
Hmm. I'm trying to share it, and it looks like it's not letting me. Sorry about this. I'm just closing it out, and I'm going to open the PowerPoint again.
No worries.
Tech challenges.
Let us know if you want one of us to share Alli too.
Okay. Okay, how about that?
Perfect. We see it.
Yay! Okay, it's working. Glad that is happening. So we talked about the partners involved. Our website's a great resource. We have a 5-year strategic plan that we have been wrapping up. We're going to talk about that today. And we are in the final stages of developing our plan for the next 5 years, which is really exciting to see a continuation of the work that we've been doing. But our vision is that Vermont will be populated by farms that are vibrant, they're robust, and that they're sustainable, and that they're stewarding their land to improve water quality and wildlife habitat for the benefit of farms, connected ecosystems, the public, and general good of Vermont. Our purpose and mission is that we will be collaborative to improve ag water quality in Vermont by coordinating partner efforts to provide education, technical, and financial assistance to the farming community. We're updating that language to also include land stewards, because not everyone who owns owns property is who's working on farms, right? It's much more broad than that. So we're adapting to be more inclusive in our language moving forward. And our overarching goals are that we want to improve water quality and wildlife habitat on all engaged farmland owner or operator properties, or those land stewards supporting farming and agriculture in Vermont. We want to make sure that we are delivering technical and financial assistance in an efficient and effective way, and that those participating in our programs have the best experience possible. So, high level, our strategic plan, some of our objectives include, we want to make sure that we're building a stronger collaboration, and we're continuing to evolve and adapt to the challenges that are facing us. We want to make sure that we are identifying, connecting, and sharing, and being coordinated in our research and learning across the partnership, partners, and more broadly partners. We want to make sure that we're utilizing that research and learning to evaluate, adjust, and be innovative on the practices and tools that we're recommending and that we're using. We want to make sure that we are training staff across partner organizations. We, in terms of communication, want to be consistent, coherent, and meaningful in our messaging for partner staff, for land stewards, the public, whoever we're collaborating with. And lastly, we want to align tactical basin planning and other prioritization efforts to ensure effectiveness of jointly targeted watershed strategies. So what might be coming to mind right now is that this sounds really internal facing. And that's because internal partnership staff, technical and financial service providers are our primary audience. Our mission is that we are more efficient and collaborative in achieving our goals. So what we're all here for, our 2024 annual report. It's linked on our website. We can put it in the chat. I'm not going to dare toggle back and forth again. So we're just going to move forward. But the first page, it's a short report. We want it to be digestible and accessible. We strive to have language that would be something that anybody coming across this or interacting with this report, no matter their background, could understand what we're doing, how we're doing it, and the progress that we're making. So this first page has some history about the partnership, the context of our work, our missions and goals, and the partners involved, which we already covered today. And our jewel that we love to highlight in these annual reports is a farmer success story. So this year we are really excited to showcase the Frog Hollow Farmstead and the partners that collaborated to support them in achieving their water quality goals. So that included the Poultney-Meadowy Natural Resource Conservation District. It included our federal partners like the USDA Natural Resource Conservation Service and Farm Service Agency, and the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service, and it also included the Vermont Agency of Agriculture, Food, and Markets. So kudos and great thanks to Sadie Brown from the Poultney-Meadowy Natural Resource Conservation District for her support in putting this story together and sharing all the great pictures that we're going to see today. So a little bit about this farm. Janice and Jason Renke, they operate a small diversified farm in Castleton, and it's located along the Sucker Brook, which is in the Castleton River watershed. This historically has been an ag parcel. It used to have a small beef herd, and then they purchased the property in 2020. And since they moved to Vermont, they've been working on expanding their farms, really focusing on soil health, building up their soils, and they have close to 100 acres that make up this really special farmstead. The base of their operation is around organic and permaculture principles with a focus on heritage breed farm animals, such as cattle, sheep, pigs, and chickens. They also focus on growing heirloom open pollinated produce, which is really interesting and exciting. A unique aspect of their farmstead is that they have a passion for food and experience in the culinary profession, and they have a small cafe with products from their farm as well as products from other local farms and small businesses. So this is their family. And with the Sucker Brook and a small tributary that goes through their farm operations, this farm family was very mindful about their impacts that their farm might pose on the waterway, especially as they anticipated growing their operation. So the owner, Janice, shared with us that the pasture where the buffer and planting were done is where animals overwinter, and that the brook downstream is a water source for many of their neighbors. And that in the past that the animals had unrestricted access to that. So that was of concern and something that they wanted to make sure that they addressed. So partners came into play in supporting this farm, and we all had similar goals. So through past water quality monitoring data from the Agency of Natural Resources, Department of Environmental Conservation, La Rosa Monitoring Program, we knew that the Sucker Brook had elevated nutrient levels. In addition to kind of known water quality concerns in the watershed, the area or the parcel with which this farm is located was identified in the 2016 Stormwater Master Plan that Poultney-Meadowy Natural Resource Conservation District supported. So this has been an area that folks have been keeping their eye on, partners have been looking at. And so when the opportunity came up for the Agency of Agriculture, Food and Markets and the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service to potentially support a buffer project through the Conservation Reserve Enhancement Program, folks came together to hopefully achieve some water quality goals on this site, which was really exciting. Folks were happy to collaborate. So let's see, in 2024, they did a project which included 3.88 acres of planted buffer. It also included invasive plant removal, which is common with buffer projects. They included exclusion fencing along Sucker Brook and that small tributary to help keep livestock out of there, especially in the overwintering time. And they also designed 3 stream crossings, which would support the variety of cattle that exists on animals and livestock that exist on this farmstead. And then in May of this last year, district staff through the Champlain Valley Native Plant Restoration Nursery and volunteers helped to do the planting, which was really exciting. So this is a great quote from the farm. We were really looking forward to recreating natural woodland areas throughout the farm that attract wildlife, birds, and are filled with native trees and shrubs. Many of our neighbors have also stopped to share their excitement for the project and are anxious to see the changing landscape. We love to support farms in their water quality and conservation goals. It's so fantastic to be able to highlight the incredible work of this farm in the heart, I would say, and their connection to community, and that the partners supporting this work and the farm have aligning goals, right? This is exactly what we're striving to do in the partnership and supporting water quality, conservation, and wildlife habitat. So here's a picture from the buffer planting. So this buffer included 1,360 native plant and tree shrubs like willows, dogwoods, viburnums, and evergreens. And these are all going to have a really positive impact and help address issues on the farm and that the watershed is experiencing. So the goals of this specific project was that they wanted to reduce nutrient runoff. They wanted to manage active erosion that was occurring on the stream banks. They wanted to provide shading that would promote fish habitat, and they wanted to support the brook in accessing a vegetated floodplain and be more of a functioning stream. So this is a great quote from Phil Wilson, Agency of Ag, Food and Markets with the Conservation Reserve Enhancement Program, highlighting how this project was beneficial for Sucker Brook and the tributary, and that the fencing was really beneficial for excluding livestock, which supports the streams, supports the riparian buffer, and that through this program, the way that they were able to collaborate was at no cost to the landowner, and that hopefully a mature riparian forest buffer will grow and be able to support water quality, aquatic, and terrestrial habitat. This is another great quote from the report from Ben Gabos, also with the Agency of Ag, Food and Markets, with the Conservation Reserve Enhancement Program. That's that buffer program, really highlighting the collaboration and coordination that had to occur between partners to make this project happen, and in such a kind of aligned way, and really highlighting the work that the Poultney Meadowy Conservation District did, that was so valuable to getting this project on the ground, and specifically about the high quality plant material and their care and handling of those species before planting, post planting, for the best possible outcome for this project. And Ben noted that district staff creatively worked around farm logistical issues that delayed the planting in some of the project areas, and communicated effectively with the state partners and farm owners to complete the planting without compromising the health of those trees and shrubs that they were putting in, and ultimately ended up with a successful project, which is great. So just also want to note that funding for this project was supported through, as I mentioned, the Conservation Reserve Enhancement Program, but also the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service and the PUR project. So our last page of our annual report includes our investments and impacts, and it's just one page, but we are so grateful to all the partners that provide a tremendous amount of data and input and time into pulling these all together in such a digestible way. And definitely kudos to Agency of Ag Food and Markets and the DEC QUIP team, because you guys do a fantastic job, and we're so excited to be able to highlight this. And also just want to say, you know, if you haven't checked out the QUIP performance report, definitely recommend. So, in terms of a highlight of the ag investments for phosphorus reduction progress, we've invested almost nearly $54 million of federal, state, and farmer input. 50 metric tons of estimated phosphorus load reduction from the ag sector, which is the equivalent to 3.6 dump truck loads. In the future, I think we'll be transitioning that kind of visual to maybe like 5-gallon buckets, because maybe dump truck isn't as like, it's harder to picture for some, but it's a lot. That's what I'm trying to say. And also in terms of meeting our total maximum daily load goals, 26% of the Lake Champlain Basin and 17% of the Lake Memphremagog Basin TMDL required phosphorus reductions have been met through clean water programs. Just want to highlight this great quote from Sarah Damsel. She's the district manager with the Orleans County Natural Resource Conservation District. She says, conservation on farms can be a bit like completing a puzzle, taking one piece at a time and finding the best fit. I think that's so true. And then in terms of what has been achieved for on-farm implementation, our most recent census information has that over 96,000 acres of Vermont is in annual cropland. And we want to make sure that folks understand that soil health practices like cover crop and conservation tillage reduce erosion and build soils, which is a positive impact for water quality. And that in this last year in 2024, farmers planted over 33,000 acres of cover crop in like rye or winter crop species, and over 6,000 acres of cropland was managed through conservation tillage to reduce erosion. Through partner programs, 49 farms, barnyards, and 15 manure storage systems were constructed to properly store ag waste and prevent runoff of nutrients. We're really excited to see information about farm conservation easements that help to ensure that our farmland is going to stay in farmland for the future. So 15 farms were conserved, including 8 miles of streams with 50-foot buffers. In terms of our riparian acre buffers installed on conserved lands or otherwise, 74 acres were put in place in 2024. So just as a reminder, we've talked about this today, but buffers are vegetated areas along streams and waters, and they help to filter runoff and nutrients. They help to prevent erosion or stabilize eroding banks to prevent flood damage. They support ecosystems, they support habitat, so they're really very beneficial. And then in terms of protecting our wetlands, we're really excited to celebrate that 135 acres of wetlands have been conserved in Vermont in 2024. And they're incredibly important for aquatic and wildlife species. They also help to control erosion and reduce flooding and improve water quality. That is all that I have to share with you today about our 2024 annual report. Thank you, and happy to take any questions. I'm going to put in the chat a couple links. We got the website. Okay. Also, I found this video from WCAX about Frog Hollow Farmstead. So you could learn, if you want to, you could learn a little bit more about them and see their products and hear from the family.
Not exactly related to the annual report, but when can people start looking out for the VOCWIP Lunch and Learn series?
Yeah, that's a really great question. We're exploring if we're going to have a late spring series, and we'll be posting that through the partnership newsletter. Connect with me if you'd like to be part of that. And if not, we'll have it next fall through winter.
Cool. Awesome. Does anyone else have some questions for Alli?
Alli, I just want to thank you for that presentation. It was such a helpful overview of the partnership and how it's constructed and the importance of it, while also getting into the report and your approach of focusing on one farm to really showcase like this, to do the storytelling of this work and showcase the difference that it's making. That really resonated with me, and was just wondering if you had any advice for folks who are also working on communicating the impact of this work more broadly, of like how we can make the communication and transparency around the progress we're making and the difference this is making a little bit more accessible to our audiences.
Mm-hmm. Thanks, Emily. Appreciate the feedback. And that's a great question. This Our report is supported through we have like communication staff from all of the partners that are part of a communications committee. So it's very much a collaborative effort and really nice because we get to access the expertise of many different professionals with a lot of experience who communicate with a variety of different audiences. So I think that's a really nice lens, and partner support is just across the work that we're doing, we are connecting with a variety of audiences. And I think individual organizations have kind of honed in on maybe who their target audience is and can provide some expertise or an interesting lens as you're developing materials. We very much try to develop a report that, and I don't mean this to be offensive, but like a fifth grader could read and understand. So that is our kind of literacy level that we're aiming for. We also have taken great care in the last couple of years to move away from, I mean, the story has a lot of text, but our report in previous year was almost all text. And so we've tried to include more graphics or visual communication tools. As I know, the Clean Water Investment Report is beautiful and like has a lot of that, but that has been something. And then also like really connecting with the folks and partners on the ground who have the relationship with the farm and with the connection of the farm to highlight their story and the farmer's story, because I feel like there's so much heart in that. And it's, a really interesting, it brings a really interesting aspect to our communication. So yeah, I think that's how we've been approaching it. I think we still have lots to learn, and especially about accessibility and folks who might be using reading support tools and things like that. So always happy to connect with partners and hear about what they're doing.
Thank you, Alli. Great job.
Thanks. Well, I appreciate everyone. I know it's a busy time and it's like tree planting time and all the things. So I really appreciate everyone that took the time to come today. And thank you for the invitation.
Thank you so much for the presentation, Alli. It was wonderful. But do we have any last minute questions, or we can give some time back to you all and get going a little early? Okay. Well, thank you all for coming, and thank you, Allie, for the great presentation. Yeah, have a lovely afternoon.
Thank you.
All right,
Thank
bye.
you. Goodbye.